Princess Skystar, Spike, A True Love by Swedish Dublin. Sometime after the Storm King was defeated, everything was brought back to peace again in both Sequestria and Equestria. And after the Storm King was defeated, many of the sea ponies or hippogriffs decided to back up to the surface again to restart their life on their island or the mountain. One of them were actually Princess Skystar. At first she didn't feel home back up on the surface. Even she helped her new friends defeat Storm King, but at the same time she didn't feel to be herself as a hippogriff or a sea pony. Her mom stayed behind in Sea Equestria as the queen. So Skystar went back and forward at the Sea Equestria and her new home on the mountain. But at the same time, she didn't feel connected to any other hippogriffs there. Even she made some new friends of those who stayed behind on the surface. She even made a new home there. She became like a teacher for a younger generation. Even she was not adult herself, but she taught other sea ponies and that has been turned back to hippogriffs about their new lives and her adventure to Equestria when she defeated the Storm King with her friends. But at the same time, she didn't feel not herself. Even she went sometimes to Equestria to Canterlot and even Ponyville to see her son of friends. But at the same time, she felt lonely. She just wanted to find her special zone pony as well. Even a lot of hippogriffs boys are often asking her out. Even she's royal. She often told by her mom that she maybe should find someone who is either a noble or a guard, who is at least strong enough to protect her. But she didn't know if she would ever find her special zone pony or even a hippogriff. So sometimes she traveled to Crystal Empire, Ponyville to see some of her friends. Even she became like an ambassador for the hippogriffs and the Equestria for some time, until that role was taken over by some others. But still, she still travels to Ponyville to meet Twilight, Rarity, and other of her friends. And even Capper, who has moved to Ponyville, even he had this difficult at first, but he got adapted in his new life from being a thief to more friendly. He even works with Rarity at her shop, but he even helps at the castle with Twilight, with organizing books. Even he tries to at least not to be a thief, but it happens sometimes that he go back to his old habits. But his friends is always there for him to go back to his new life. And even Skystar even had been very close friend with one of those her new friends, and that was actually Spike. She really liked Spike because he was brave in his fight against the Storm King, used as his fire to defeat those minions, but at the same time she thought that he was just a baby dragon. But even she got to know him even better over the last few months just after this fight of the defeat of the Storm King. She thought that he was very cute, but even very handsome, even to be a baby dragon. And even they often spent some time alone together. They often went to this either local cafe or just take some walks in the park. Because just a few months after the defeat of Storm King, Spike got able to tell Rarity how he felt for her. Unfortunately, by that time, Rarity had found her special zone pony, and that was actually Capper. She found him very handsome, even to be a cat, and they both connected very fast. And at the same time, when he found out Spike felt very heartbroken, and he even told that to Twilight and her other friends. But the only one who he could really talk to was actually Skystar. Even she knew exactly the same kind of pain how she felt as he's felt for the loss of Rarity. And just a year after this event had happened, Skystar was actually in Ponyville for a visit for a week, and but this time she had actually got strong feelings for Spike. And one day where they were in the park, just talking, relaxing, just to get to know each other even better, just talking. Then she actually told Spike that she actually loved him. And even Spike was very stunned about hearing about it. But Spike didn't want to lose her as a friend. But he said that he liked her, but he was still confused if he has feelings for her or not. He didn't say that to her. He just smiled at her. And Skystar thought, okay, he won't love me back. So, but she wanted just to tell him. At the same evening, when Skystar was at her room, well, guest room, she was looking out the stars at her balcony when Spike knocked on the door and asked if he could come in to talk to her. And she said yes. He actually went up to her at the balcony, and then they stood there for a moment, didn't say anything until he looked at her with a smile. He said that he heard that he had to process all this, that what she said to him earlier today. And he said that he actually had strong feelings for her as well. He didn't just know how to process all this and something was so sudden. And he really loved her as well, so much. So at first Spike looked at Skystar, and then he asked her if she would like to go out with him the next day. And she smiled at him and said yes, I like that. And they told Twilight about this, and even she was very surprised that Spike actually asked Skystar out. Because she didn't believe that they were date, because she was a hippogriff and he was a baby dragon. But she was not against it. She was just surprised that he asked Skystar out. But she said to them that she supported their decision and just happy for them both. And they accept for her advice. And during that the same evening later on, Spike, he couldn't sleep. He was so excited. He has never been on a date before, only read about this and heard about it from his friends and from their dates. But he just wanted it to be something great, and he had no idea what to take her for a date. So the next day, Spike asked Twilight, Rarity, Applejack, and even Fluttershy, and even Discord of all of his friends for advice what to do for a date. The others they said just be your normal yourself, maybe take her to a picnic or to a restaurant or just a local cafe. Even Discord he tried to make it a little bit a challenge. Why do you take her to a volcano for a date? That would be romantic. But he was just joking. But he said, just take her to a lake nearby and have some picnic. And Spike thought that could actually work since the others instead saying similar things. So he decided to take her to this local nearby lake with a picnic basket. So the next one he did that he met her at the castle, and they decided to go to this lake, but just took maybe 5-10 minutes away from the castle. And they had this just perfect day. It was just sunny day, but not too windy, just perfect for a lovely date just for them. And there was just no other nearby. It was just perfect for them both. And at this picnic, they actually just talked to each other so much, and they even asked each other more questions about each other, but get to know each other more. And just after some time, they just stayed there all day, even to the evening. And when the night was calming down, the moon rised up, they decided to go back to the castle. And just on the way back, Spite asked Skystar if she wanted to be his girlfriend, and she accepted. Even they had just known each other for about a year, and only dated for one day, and they became a couple right by then. And she accepted. And and they both didn't mind that. And their friends was actually quite impressed of this. And the most of all was most surprised about this was actually Queen Novo, Skystar's mother. When she found out about this, she was not she was not frustrated or mad upset at her own daughter about this. She was just really, really surprised. At first she kind of was a little bit upset that she dated being together with a dragon of all kinds. But she could notice that her daughter was actually more happier than she was before. And then she decided to accept that. Even she tried many times before to at least try to make her own daughter to date a noble hippogriff or one of the royal guards, for example. But none of them didn't last that long, because Skystar told her mother about all of those other previous dates that she didn't feel any connection with them. Even they were the same kind, around the same age, but still, she didn't feel any connection with any of them. The only pony or any other creature she felt the wrong strong connection with was Spike, because he was a brave hero. He had saved Crystal Empire at least twice, and he had saved his friends at many occasions, and he had helped to defeat Storm King, which was something very extra special for her, because the Storm King had actually threatened had destroyed the hippogriff culture on the island or the mountain, forced them to abandon their home to live under ocean. But since after he was defeated and destroyed by this spell, whatever it's called, she was actually impressed that Spike was one part of helping to defeat her people's enemy. From that moment, they both really loved each other, and they spent so much time even in Ponyville or on the Mount Eris. Even sometimes they spent even the first heartwarming eve together in Ponyville. And even though sometimes they went back to Mount Eris to spend some of the Hippogriff's tradition as well. They both really loved to be together. They even traveled to other countries like Arabia, Maritonia, or even to Griffinstone to visit Gilda, which they had also become good friends with over the last few months and year. But still all this together. They all really loved to be together. Because Spite had even saved Skystar from being attacked by a rogue group of pony bandits or robbers near somewhere in Equestria. And even she had her wing power, the wings, she was attacked. And Spike saved her. And she was grateful for it. From that moment, her love for Spike even grew stronger, even more than was before. And just over like a few months then to over past 3 years later on, Spike and Skystar spend so much time together, and they often forget the time just flies so fast for them both. And what they didn't know about this, within the next few months, they became even more strong in love for each other. But it happened at one case that Spike was back home in Ponyville and Skystar was back home in Mount Eris. Sky received a message from Queen Novel that Skystar was seriously ill, and according to her the Hippogriff doctors, Skystar may not survive, and it was very close that she wouldn't even make it. According to Skystar's mother, Queen Novel, there were only one type of cure for her disease, and it was actually a plant, but unfortunately this plant only grew in Dragon's lands, and the Hippogriffs didn't they feared to be there because sometimes the dragons weren't even allowed them to be there, even if they had become some sort of alliance or friends with each other. But there was still some dragons that didn't want to let them be there. So Spike, he asked Princess or Dragon Lord Amber about to allow him to get this plant. And even Amber said they would allow him to get it because it was a matter of time. Because according to Queen Novel, her daughter maybe had a day or two just before it was too late. And Spike went to Dragonland as fast as he could. And when he found the plant, he ended up in a fight with Garble, with some other three dragons. They tried to stop him because they know what's going on. And he tried to fight them off, but he was still, even he was a baby dragon. He didn't know, he couldn't fight them, but he knew one other plan to use. He knew that he would not be able to defeat them in fight. So he used his brain or his intelligence enough to lure them into some sort of traps. He could trap them inside in a cave long enough for them so that he could pass them out, grab some of the flowers or the plants, and take off back to Ponyville. There he could find a train, take it to Mount Eris, when he gave it to the Hippogriff doctors in time. And it was just perfect in time when he just managed to get there and get Novo the medicine in time. But according to the doctor, she wouldn't make it for the next 24 hours. And that was the moment he found out later on that Spike had managed to defeat at least 4 dragons, being an older, bigger than him, but using his own list and brain, or even his intelligence enough to use to figure out, instead of fighting, why not to trick the other dragons to get his plant who needed to save her. And that worked. And that even impressed Queen Novo even more about Spike's true attention to her own daughter, and wished she was actually grateful. She even made Spike a noble knight of, and even honorary member of the Hippogriff Royal Guard. And even Skystar was surprised of that, and because that he made an honor guard of Hippogriff's Royal Guard. And Spike's friends and his family, they all was so impressed and even proud and filled with excitement of this. Of all especially Twilight, who had raised Spike. She was far beyond even so happy about this. And they all was just so happy that Spike had sacrificed so much just to save his true love from dying. It took time for Skystar to return back to full health, at least a few days, or almost a week at least. But during this time, Spike stayed on Mount Eris with her side all the time, just to keep her company, to make her laugh, reading some stories with her, telling about anything just to keep her company, which she liked. And 9 years later, Spike was old enough to. He wanted to be with Skystar for the rest of his life because he knew that she is his true love, and he didn't want to know of it first. But he then asked, no, he told Twilight and his friends and his family about this, that he's going to propose to Skystar. And he even had told Novo, her mother, about this and even asked about her hand. And Queen Novus actually had no rejection of this. She actually approved that Spike proved her to be the right one for her daughter, since he literally saved, almost sacrificed his own life to save her daughter from dying years earlier. And when Spike proposed to Skystar, she was beyond happiness of that. She was very happy. And the wedding, well, it was on Mount Eris, and Queen Noble was the one who's performing the ceremony. Spike had asked Discord to be his best man, and Rarity, well, she became actually Skystar's bridesmaid. And this wedding gift as the party was lasting an entire day afterwards. And but they stayed behind on Mount Eris on their honeymoon, and especially in the Equestria. But just only 3 years afterwards, both Skystar and Spike talked about to start a family. But since they both were two different species, they wouldn't be able to produce any more a child together. Even they asked Twilight about if she could help any with magic spell. But unfortunately for Twilight's help, she couldn't find any spell to help them. And they even asked Celestia and Luna, but they didn't know any kind of spell that could help. So, Spike and Skystar decided to adopt at least two Hippogriff's children. And they adopted two boys, which were twins actually. And just Spike and Skystar's relationship over the next this years has passed had just proven to be strong enough for them to start a family. And their two boys, they were actually a little bit unusual to have a father as a dragon. But after some time they got used to it, because he was actually strong, brave, and they actually it made him as a role model as they needed. Someone who's be strong and brave and all this, and he became a captain of the Hippogriff Royal Guard many years after that. And that's how Spike and Skystar found their true love and got a family. The